I'm on. Oh yeah.
700 miles to come do it, son.
Stud in the bucket.
655.9.
You're listening to the PointClickFish podcast. We bring you the best in fishing entertainment with interviews, how-tos, stories, food, fishing reports from the captains, teams, and celebrities that are all in the industry. And now, here's your host, Captain Jay Feemster and the PointClickFish team.
Hey, Jay, PointClickFish. We're back here with Dan Dickerson from Sirius XM Marine. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back. Talking about something new.
That's absolutely right. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is Sirius XM Marine Fish Mapping. And that's something that where we've gotten a lot of questions as we've been, out on the trail, although things have been a little different on the trail these days.
Haven't they, though?
They have. So, and it always seems to be changing every day. But one of the things that's not changing is people want to know where the fish are. And that's something to where they want to know, is fish mapping going to help me find the fish? And that's something we want to talk to you today about, Dan, is what is it and how does it work and how do I get it? So those are the few things that we want to talk about today.
Before we even talk about fish mapping, here's a shot of what we were doing up to now, just weather information, showing you lightning strikes, showing you storms. The color of the water here represents the sea surface temperature, and you can see I put a cursor and tapped on screen. Basically, it gave me the temperature right where I was at. When you're looking for those temp breaks, that was key fishing information. And the fishermen were always telling us how much they love our temp breaks. And of course, there's other information out there. Your tournament guys are using, and you working with tournaments, you get this more than anybody else probably about hearing about all these other reports about chlorophyll and plankton and things like that. So there was more to be had, and we went and found it. So we have this new service called Fish Mapping, and it's 8 new layers of information. And just like the old day, the weather, you can overlay these layers, and you can pick and choose the layers that you want to use. So the first thing that we modified or improved was sea surface temperature. Not only do we give you that color palette, but on this new screen, you can see sea surface temperatures as contours. And I'll show you some of these screenshots here in a minute. And temperature strength, and not only on the surface, but now we're able to tell you what the temperature is 100 feet down. Subsurface temperature.
Subsurface temperature,
is pretty neat stuff, yeah. And then the plankton information and chlorophyll, which you hear a lot of talk about, is a byproduct of plankton. So basically, we went straight to the source. We're showing you plankton information. And then weed lines. Everybody's excited about that because you and I know, man, if you find a good weed line out there, you're going to have a good day fishing. And then
love those weed lines.
Don't they though? Man, I tell you. And surface height anomaly, that's upwellings and downwellings. I mean, if you get on an upwelling or you get between an upwelling and downwelling where that vertical current is happening. And then lastly, actual recommendations. We've got the oceanographers, they're going in and they're looking at all of the conditions. And they're, saying X marks the spot and giving you a spot to go to for a specific species. So that's pretty unique information.
Dan, one of the things I wanted to say real quick about all that information that you pointed out, obviously this is designed for the novice fisherman that's not sure, the fish recommendations are like, here they are, here's where they go. But a lot of times, even these tournament fishermen, to have those resources, that information at your fingertips while you're out there in the Gulf Stream, that real-time information, they use it as an additional resource. I mean, they may be an expert and they may know where the fish are, but a lot of times we're seeing a lot of these teams leverage this technology to be able to find the fish because they want to win tournaments. They want to catch the big fish. Yeah. So that's one thing that I've hit on a lot of the tournaments is, yes, you may know where the fish are, but people are leveraging technology to either confirm, or in some cases, if you go there, let's face it, the fish may not be there. They may have moved or something may have changed in the Gulf Stream. You have this information and another set of recommendations and information to use that as a resource in these tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you head out the inlet, you could head north, you could head south. It's a big ocean out there. And we're just giving you a little bit of edge and say, hey, today you might want to go north or south, or or the other thing, we've all got our favorite spots that we go to. We've caught fish. So maybe you have 6 spots. Well, you're heading out the inlet and you look at the fish mapping information on those 6 spots, and it tells you which of those 6 is going to be the most productive on a specific day.
You may want to go to these 2 because
exactly.
So now
that's
it
the key.
confirms, hey, I'm going to go to that one.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's where this it's really interesting information.
It's time and fuel.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. So the first screen we're looking at is the sea surface temperature front strength. So what the oceanographers do is they look at the sea surface temperature information, and then they also kind of marry that up with currents and other factors, and they give us what they call a temperature front. So this is an area where you're going to see a more drastic temperature change. That's the basic mean, where the temperature might change like 5 or 10 degrees along an edge. And it's a 1 to 4 numbering scale, 4 being the best. So you can see I touched on the line that says 4, and it says very strong. That's probably where I want to be. I'll tell you something else, Jay. What I'm hearing is on these temperature fronts, and it makes complete sense once you hear it, but often you'll see a weed line on a temperature front. And of course, that's because where the temperature changes, it creates like a small current, and the weeds kind of come up to that and they get trapped right there. So, we're going to talk about weed lines. What we can show you from satellite is the larger weed patches, but those small scattered ones where you'll find some fish underneath, where we might now be able to see those from satellite, you will often find them on a temperature front line. So that's just another benefit of this temperature front information. This information is updated daily. So it comes out pretty early in the morning. So by the time you're headed out to the fishing grounds, you're going to have an updated temperature front information. So that's what that's all about. Next, we do the same thing for plankton, and as I mentioned, chlorophyll is a byproduct of plankton. So this is in lieu of chlorophyll information, and actually better than chlorophyll information is this plankton front information. And same thing, they're looking at plankton concentrations, which we give you that information as well if you want that. But this is where the plankton is tending to build up, and what you'll see happen on one of these is this is most likely where the color is going to change. You all been out there running, and where that water goes from turbid to clear, and you want to be right on that edge. This is most likely where that edge is going to be. And again, it's a number scale 1 to 4, 4 being the strongest. So we're giving you the temperature front where plankton front is, and then the weed line information. So this is an example of weed lines, and it's not an exact line. It's not exactly what you're going to see out there. What we're able to do is, and what Maxar is able to do with their satellite technology, is they look at the reflectivity of the water, and where there's weeds, the reflectivity is different. So they look at this, and then there's a software algorithm that goes in and looks at it, and basically, and then it's done by hand. It's reviewed by a person. They go in and kind of trace the area where the reflectivity was different, and that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing kind of a squiggly line drawn around. Hey, this is the area where it's different, and this is weeds, and the software algorithm is good at figuring out which reflection looks like weed, and then you've got somebody who goes in on top of that and sketches around the area and confirms it exactly right. And what we've done is we've put 3 days worth of information in the feed. So again, this updates in the morning every day, and the file includes today, yesterday, and the day before yesterday. So if the weeds have been moving, and the machine the MFD has a function where you can turn on the loop feature so you can play it. So if the weeds have been moving, or maybe one of the days it was cloudy and we couldn't see the weeds, we couldn't give you an image. So it's not uncommon to turn that loop on, and in day 2 everything goes blank and there's no weeds, and that's probably because there was a cloud in the way. But the beauty of this is that you can see couple of days at a time, so you can at least see where they were and if they were moving. And then the different machines are doing things different ways. Some of them, there's a way to like tap on the weed line area, and it'll tell you what day you're looking at. In this screenshot we're looking at, if you notice, there is two different shades of color. The darker one down at the bottom is the newer weed line, and then in the upper corner there's a legend that shows you the lighter colors of the older weeds and the darker colors of the newer weeds. So we've given you that information so you can tell what's what. So it's not small stuff. People ask me, well, how big of a weed patch can you see? And my typical answer is, well, probably it needs to be about the size of a school bus. So it needs to be a bigger patch. And then, as I mentioned before, the smaller ones, you're going to see those look for those along the temp fronts. So that's the weed information. And then here's a better example of different ages and times of weeds. And you can, again, there's a loop feature, so you can turn on and see the loop information. And then upwellings and downwellings. And Jay, this really goes back to when you leave the inlet in the morning. Again, mentioning we've all been to our favorite spot on a specific day and not caught anything. Well, why didn't I catch anything? Well, on that particular day, it may have been because there was a downwelling. And a lot of people don't even know about this. I mean, we talked to a lot of people out there, and they're like, "What are you talking about? What's that?" Basically the surface of the ocean is we have a standard surface level. It's kind of like tides, but it's not. It's caused by other events. And basically the sea level changes by just a few inches. But when it does that, it has a cause and effect. If the sea level drops, it's like somebody flushed a toilet. And it takes all the nutrients that are in that area kind of get flushed away. And so it's what I call dead water. There's nothing there. No fish goes there because there's no bait there. There's no plankton there. Nobody wants to be there. That's a downwelling.
That's why your spot may not be working that you normally catch.
Exactly. That day the height may have dropped, and it's just cleaned everything out. Conversely, on an upwelling, when an upwelling occurs, when the sea level rises up just a few inches, it brings all the nutrients with it. And as the nutrients come in, the bait fish come in, and then your pelagics come in after those bait fish. So upwelling is a good thing. Or if you get on the edge between the two, you'll see where some of these lines run close together. And on the screen, you'll see negative numbers and positive numbers. So a negative number is a downwelling, and a positive number is an upwelling. And where the two get close to one another, you get this what we call vertical current shaft. So the water's actually moving, from the bottom up, and it brings everything with it. And the closer an upwelling is to an downwelling, the stronger that current is. And again, that's where you'll be out there, you'll see a little rip sometimes or an eddy happening. That's because, an upwelling and a downwelling are getting close together. So again, this information is updated daily. It's pretty substantial, pretty good information, especially, again, tournament fishermen. Oh man, if you can stay away from the downwellings, you're gonna save a lot of fuel.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then here's a shot we've put a couple layers together for you, and this was taken about 2 months ago. I think you know the area.
I do.
And I think you know how good the fishing was. What it was this? I think this was in May.
Very productive time for pelagics for us, for sure.
You betcha. Yeah. And then we haven't talked about the recommendations yet. So this is an example of the recommendation. We have different colors assigned to species, and you can turn on and off. So if you're looking for a specific species, we can give you the highest recommended area. But to be honest with you, if you're in an area where we're saying it's productive for wahoo, where there's wahoo, there's other fish of the same caliber. There is a specific set of parameters for each fish that the oceanographers have. So if all the conditions come together, then they'll say X marks the spot for that species. Sure. And we're still adjusting the species mix and the parameters. This is an example of what you see here. We've got some recommendations up for bluefin and mahi and marlin wahoo. And in this case, there were, no yellowfin recommended for that area. You can see that on the legend on the side that, the yellowfin color would be red, and I've got no red circles. You can also you can see the effectiveness of the plankton fronts and the temperature fronts. The green lines are plankton front information. The red lines are the temperature front information. And you can see right on that edge there where all the recommendations are, we've got a plankton front and a temperature front coming together. And what I like to say is when you have those two, when you have that red and green line coming together, it's like Christmas, because that's where it's going to happen. That's where something's going to be happening more than likely.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah, that's where the magic happens. You betcha. So here's the getting into the money side of the business and what you need, how you do it. If you have a compatible Garmin right now, they're the only game in town. You'll need a GXM54. That's the latest version of the Sirius XM receiver from Garmin. It consists of an antenna and a little box that goes behind the dash somewhere. Sells for $800, and there's a $100 rebate. And we're giving the first month free of fish mapping to anybody that subscribes. All you have to do is mention it when you subscribe, and we'll give you that free month to try it out and make sure it's all it's cracked up to be, which we think you will. And then the service itself after the free month is $100 a month. And it's key to know that this is not just fish mapping information, but it also includes, for that $100, all of our weather information. So those of you that already had our offshore package and already had our sea surface temperature information, it's $40 more. And it's a superset that includes everything. And again, this is a fixed cost. You're just paying month to month. You can go month to month, or you can buy an annual package, but you're not paying for any specific region or anything like that. 1 month covers it all for all of our coverage area, both east and west coasts. And then for those of you that are seasonal fishermen, you can suspend the service. You don't have to pay for it when you're not using it.
And one thing, Dan, too, is I always like to tell people, especially even with the weather and obviously with fish mapping service, watching things like this to better understand what you're looking at is the key as well. So, I encourage people to, ask us questions, ask you guys questions, get to know the service of what exactly you're looking at, because, when you are looking at, like with the fish recommendations, obviously, with the red and green lines, when they meet, understanding that is a good thing, right? As opposed to just looking at it. So the better that you get to know the service, the more you can maximize it. And that includes the weather side as well. We get people going, what's that? And they go, oh, I didn't know what that was. And, so it's hard to leverage it if you don't know it. So definitely get to know the service, ask those questions. But even at us with the events, we have a live demo of fish mapping service, and they're more than happy to come ask questions, look at the service, see what it looks like. And it's live, so they can actually see what they're looking at. Or if they're fishing the tournament, they may want to go, say, well, I was there today, and that was good. Yeah.
And then they can see why. Start putting two and two together. Yeah. Sure. And we certainly are thankful that you have these displays at the events that you're at, so people can see this. You really do need to see it to understand that this is not smoke and mirrors, and to hear a boat come in and say, well, we caught such and such here, and go look at the screen and go, oh, there was a plankton front there. That makes sense. Sure. So we're being proactive. We appreciate the fact that you are helping us get the word out there, how this works and what it is. And we've also got some information up on our main website. And we've got YouTube videos out there. So we encourage you to go take a look at those, and follow us on Facebook and on Instagram as well. We'll keep you updated about any changes and updates and that type of thing.
And for those of you that watch it on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description as well to those websites. So all you have to do is look in the description of this video, and you can click the link, and it'll take you right to those pages as well. So definitely check it out. We encourage people to see if it works for them. But if you're on the water, whether you're a novice or a pro, and you're looking for that advantage, I would definitely highly encourage people to take a look at it.
For sure. Thank you, sir.
Well,
Yes.
Dan, we appreciate you. Is there anything else that we should cover, need to cover, or any other secrets?
Yeah, we could probably talk all day. But no, I'd say for now, let's go to go check out our YouTube, more information, and reach out to us if you have any questions. And we look forward to seeing you out there on the water.
Well, Dan, we appreciate you joining us as always, and we look forward to getting together with you again for an update from Sirius XM Marine, whether it's on the weather side or the fish mapping side. It's always good to have these podcasts, these videos that show people and educate them on the service and what features and advancements Sirius XM Marine has made in the weather and fish mapping areas.
For sure.
All right, Dan, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.